Arsenal 2, Everton 0, and it is on. We are 9 points clear at the top of the table. Man City dropped points to a team fighting relegation. For the second time in as many weeks, we pick up 3 huge points at the Emirates to one of the better away sides in the Prem right now, all thanks to 16-year-old Max Dowman. It was a night that, for more reasons than one, will live in Arsenal history for a long, long time. An evening that put us so much closer to the Premier League title, and you can see the finish line now if you're Arsenal. It's clear, it's close, and like I said, it's very much on for this team. We'll talk about the match, we'll talk about the title race. This is the American Gooner. Nicked it on 89. The story of the night is going to be Max Dowman, and rightfully so, because he was unbelievable for any player. Then you take into account that he's 16 years old, just turned 16 years old. To have that type of impact at this stage of a Premier League title race, at that stage of the match, I was speechless. I still am speechless. You can't describe what Max Dowman did for Arsenal last night. Not just to win the match, but to propel us towards the title. It's historic. He's the youngest player to ever score in the Premier League. And the goal was a tap-in, but he makes the entire build-up happen on his own. But the Gyökeres goal was 100% him as well. He did something that we hadn't seen from any of the players on the pitch in that match, and I hadn't seen from a senior team player at Arsenal in a long time. He took the game into his own hands and decided the outcome. For as balanced as Arsenal have been this entire year, spreading out goals, spreading out contribution, spreading out build-up, spreading out possession, it's rare that we've seen the same player consistently contribute to the attack and to the build-up and to the playmaking and to the goal scoring. I think that's why it's unfathomable to me that 16-year-old Max Dowman gets subbed on so late in a game that is going the way of a scoreless draw, that is going the way of dropped points for the top team in the Premier League at home, in a match where he probably did not expect to step on the pitch. Yet it's him who led the charge, led the attack, changed the tide of the momentum, changed the course of the game, and snatched 3 points out of the claws of a deathly draw. You can't script a defining moment in the title race better than what happened last night. You have a team full of world-class players at every position. You have one of the best attacks in Europe. You are being hailed right now as the strongest team in world football. Your domestic league title is within reach. It's in your hands. It's in your control. It's in your destiny. You're playing in a stadium that has been immensely difficult for opposition to come in and even score, let alone win or take points off of you. You can count on your hands the amount of matches you have left until you can claim the title. And all you need to do is win. And for one reason or another, your world-class players on the pitch are struggling to do that. So in the 74th minute, at 0-0, you bring on a 16-year-old with about a few months' worth of experience. In what seemed at the time like a desperation move, you call upon one of your last resort options in attack, a player who has less experience in life than some of the players on the pitch have in football. But it was him that got you over the line. I mean, every time he touched the ball, he was moving forward. He was threatening every time he was in and around the box. He was creating opportunities. He was creating pressure at a moment in the match where we looked like we were backpedaling and playing on our heels and feeling the nervousness and the anxiety that we've talked about all year long is gonna hit this team because it's hit them every season for the past 4 seasons. But it didn't impact Max Dowman. And if it did, he did a great job of hiding it, because that was one of the best performances in 20 minutes of football that I've seen from a player of such a young age in a long time. It was pure class. That's the best way to put it. For a 16-year-old to be thrust into that position at that stage of the game and to provide that sort of quality and output, it's pure class. And it provided such a special moment that made me so proud to be an Arsenal supporter. I talked at the end of the Brighton game about the scenes in the away end after the full-time whistle, when not only Arsenal had won and collected 3 points, but Man City simultaneously had dropped points, and Arsenal fans were coming to the realization at that moment that a swing at the top of the table in our favor that might prove decisive in the Premier League title race. And I said that watching those scenes of celebration gave me such an overwhelming sense of pride in being an Arsenal supporter. Then you look at the scenes after the Dowman goal last night, and I don't know if in my 23 years of life and 20-something years of supporting Arsenal that I've ever witnessed a cooler moment than that. And you've all seen it. I don't need to re-describe the moment for you, but just watching that in real time and experiencing that feeling, it's honestly something I'll never forget. It was a where were you when moment, not just if you're an Arsenal fan, but if you're a supporter of football and sports and good moments in life. I mean, the headline that a 16-year-old had scored in the Premier League and become the youngest goal scorer, and the performance that he had, and the reaction from the Arsenal support and from everybody afterwards, it was such a huge moment in life. So the story of the game is obviously Max Dowman. And like I said, it should be, because he was incredible. But credit to the entire Arsenal team for getting over the line in a situation like that. In terms of the starting lineup, I think Arteta got it about as close to perfect as you can get a starting 11. I've said all season, I think that back four of Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, and Calafiori is your strongest back four. As good as Nkapie has been, as good as Ben White can be, as good as Christian Mosquera has been, I do think that those four who were in the starting 11 yesterday are your strongest. And I'm glad Arteta saw that too. I thought maybe there was a chance that Ben White would start because you've run Yuri and Timber into the ground, and he did have to come off relatively early with what looked like some sort of groin or hamstring injury, and hopefully it's just a knock and nothing serious. But I understand why Arteta wanted to start him, even though he's been a part of almost every starting 11 for the last 5 months. I think at this stage of the season, you have to go with your strongest combination of players, and that's your strongest back four. So he got that spot on. Midfield, again, was bang on Rice, Zubimendi, and Eze. And then the attack looked a little bit different. And I'm not always a supporter of this, but I liked the usage of Kai Havertz rather than Victor Gyökeres in the starting 11, because there have been moments this year where you've brought Gyökeres on in the 60th or 70th minute, and he comes in to kill the game or to get you the goal that you haven't yet found, and to be the strong type of finisher that we know him to be. Sometimes his style of play is best utilized as a sub. And again, not always. I think Gyökeres should be your everyday number 9, but I didn't mind the way Arteta chose to start Havertz, showcase that creativity, free-flowing, fast-paced football. And then in the 74th minute, when you need the goal, you bring on Big Vic and he delivers. So in terms of starting lineup, in terms of subs, when he decided to use them and which players he decided to bring onto the pitch, which ones he decided to take off, I think Arteta actually had one of his better tactical games of the entire season. And then you have to give credit to every single player who stepped on the pitch today, because it was one of those matches where you were going to need contributions from a few different players in a few different areas of the pitch, and we got them. Raya was Raya. He made some incredible saves once again, continues to be the quiet difference between Arsenal winning the Premier League and not having the opportunity to win it at this stage of the season. And then Calafiori, up until the Gyökeres goal, had the play of the match with the scorpion scissor block that 100% saved Arsenal from conceding a goal at a pivotal moment in the match where we were getting opened up just a little bit at the back. I've watched the replay probably 100 times, and I still don't know how he had the wherewithal to kick his back legs up in the air while he's lying flat on his stomach and block the ball from going into the net. It was one of the most incredible defensive efforts I've seen in my life. And like I said, before we got the goal, it was the play of the match. I also thought Rice and Eza had great games in the midfield, especially Eberechi Eza. He took on a few opportunities that gave Jordan Pickford something to think about and then some. I mean, that one that was probably half a foot or less off the far post. If it was on target, it was going in. He caught Pickford just a little bit off his line, gave him a scare. And while that was the closest of his opportunities, he had a lot of really great chances. He was playing the ball forward really well. He was threatening in and around the box, which is how he's impacted this Arsenal team when he's on his game. You plant him on the edge of that box and you feed the ball through him, and he's a dangerous threat from that area. And then obviously credit to Victor Gyökeres. He read the buildup of that goal so well. If you go back and watch his off-ball movement, the way he reads and reacts to Dowman swinging the ball in Nketiah catching the defender and Pickford off of their lines, and having the wherewithal to kind of hip thrust the ball right in front of the goal. If you watch Gyökeres, he's right there with a tap in, but he's right there with a tap in for a reason. Because he read the buildup, because he put himself in the right opportunity, he stays onside, and he's the first one to that ball. He gets the tap in, he gets the winner, he gets the easy goal, and he gets the moment for Arsenal that propelled us even closer to the title. That to me was the moment of the season, and I don't know if you're gonna find one more special than that, whether it be matches in the past or our few remaining fixtures to come. I think beating Everton 2-0, Max Dowman carrying the day, Victor Gyökeres getting the winner at the Emirates in the 89th minute. I don't think that moment can be beaten by anything, especially because it really felt like the first time that this Arsenal team proved to the world that they are not the same team that bottled the title 2 years ago. For 88 minutes of that match yesterday, it looked like they were the same. The team that had control of their own destiny had an opportunity to move closer to the title if they could just score one goal, but understood how big the moment was. We're nervous, we're anxious, and we're afraid that pushing for a goal meant taking the risk of conceding. And we're at the point in the year where for 3 years running now, they've crumbled. And for 88 minutes yesterday, it felt like the ground was shaking underneath this Arsenal team and that it was starting to cave in a little bit. But these matches are not 88 minutes long. They are 90 minutes long. And in the 89th minute, Victor Gyökeres, Max Dowman, Mikel Arteta, and that entire Arsenal team proved that they were not the same. And as the Emirates exploded at full time last night, and Mikel Arteta couldn't contain how fired up he was, it felt to me like the fear and the trauma that stemmed from the last few years evaporated in that very moment. It felt like they finally put it behind them. This is no longer a club that's afraid of doing what they have to do to win the title. They proved last night that not only are they ready, but they are not going to let it slip away again. We know that they've been ready in the past. They've had the players necessary to go on a title run. They've had the opportunities to win the title in the very recent past. What they haven't proven is that they can actually do it. They did that last night. If you don't think that moment last night was title defining, then wake up. We've learned that the door is never shut with this Arsenal team, and the door is always somewhat open with Manchester City, but this year feels different. 9 points clear, 7 matches left to play. It's on. And I'll leave you all with that. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the American Gooner. If you could please like the video, hit the subscribe button, leave your comments and your thoughts down below. I appreciate hearing from all of you, and I appreciate all the support you've been showing me so far. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure to follow, turn on post notifications, and leave me a comment as well. We will be back on Tuesday for the second leg of the Champions League tie with Bayer Leverkusen. Until then, come on, you Gunners.